One lie wasn't enough. She had to make it bigger, louder, official. And as her story twisted further from the truth, the system didn't stop her. It followed her. Because when fear speaks in the right skin, justice listens. And when innocence wears the wrong one, it waits in the cell. The walls of the interview room were bare, sterile, and cold. A single table, 2 chairs, and a mirror that reflected more suspicion than truth. Pamela Warren sat upright in one of the chairs, her purse clutched tightly in her lap, eyes still red, as if holding on to tears she didn't deserve to cry. Her voice, however, was steady, too steady. Across from her, a young officer clicked his pen and leaned forward. "So, let's go over it one more time, ma'am." Pamela took a breath, just enough to appear shaken. "I was walking my dog to the park when I saw the man, Derrick, lift the little girl off the bench. He had her in his arms. She was crying, and I could tell she didn't know him. It was clear he was trying to take her." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Lifted her up?" "Yes." She nodded, a little firmer now. I ran toward them and screamed. He put her down real quick, like he was caught. I called 911 immediately. I think I saved that child." The pen stopped clicking. Behind the mirror, another officer stood watching. He'd seen the mother's statement earlier, the real mother. He'd heard the girl whisper that the nice man gave her his water bottle and told her everything would be okay. The puzzle pieces weren't fitting, not the way Pamela was forcing them to. Still, the paperwork had to be filed. Protocol didn't bend for gut feelings. In the holding cell down the hall, Derrick sat on a steel bench, eyes heavy with disbelief. His wrists bore the red impressions of the handcuffs. He hadn't spoken in over an hour, not because he didn't want to, but because he couldn't find the words anymore. What was there to say when the system wasn't listening? A different officer stood outside his cell, flipping through the intake forms. Evans, Derrick, 32, no record, HVAC technician, arrested on suspicion of attempted kidnapping. Suspicion. That word echoed louder than sirens. Derrick's eyes lifted slightly. He wasn't crying. He wasn't angry. But something inside him had gone quiet, dead in a way. His voice broke the silence, barely above a whisper. "Is this what I am to them?" he asked, not at anyone in particular. "A threat? Just walking home?" The officer outside the cell said nothing, just moved on to the next form, the next name. For the system, Derrick was now a file, a case number, a man held just in case. That night, as the station quieted and the lights dimmed, Pamela went home. Her name was never questioned. Her version of the truth was typed neatly into a report. She had gone from witness to hero, all on the strength of fear wrapped in confidence. And Derrick? He sat in silence, staring at the floor, wondering how a simple walk home had turned into a cage. Truth has a way of finding its voice, even when no one's listening. He wasn't loud. He wasn't brave. He was just a kid with a camera and a conscience. And what he captured, it would shatter the lie and expose everything they tried to believe. The morning sun filtered through the blinds of the precinct lobby, casting long shadows across the tile floor. Most of the officers were still nursing their first coffee, unaware that the truth was already walking to the front door. Liam Foster, 17, quiet and pale with shaggy brown hair that hung just above his eyes, stepped inside with his father beside him. His hands trembled slightly as he clutched his phone, but his voice, though soft, carried purpose. "I need to talk to someone about what happened at Rose Hill Park yesterday." His father placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. He saw everything. He recorded it. Within minutes, Liam was led to the same interview room where Pamela had sat just hours before. The difference? Liam had no story to spin, only the truth in 1080p. Detective Alvarez, a seasoned officer with 15 years on the force, leaned forward cautiously. "What exactly did you film, son?" Liam swallowed hard, unlocked his phone, and navigating to the video. "I was just eating lunch by the picnic tables. I didn't think it was anything at first. I saw the little girl crying. Then I saw the man, Derrick. He didn't grab her. He asked if she was okay. He sat on the bench away from her. Then that lady, Pamela, she just started screaming before he even touched the kid." He handed the phone over. The room fell into silence as Alvarez hit play. The footage was shaky, but clear enough. There was Derrick, gentle, respectful, never crossing a line. His hands were visible, his voice calm. The child was scared, but she didn't recoil. She wasn't running. She was just lost. Then, like thunder, Pamela's voice cut through the clip, accusatory, wild, and baseless. Alvarez didn't speak. He watched every second without blinking, jaw tight, lips pressed into a firm line. When the video ended, he set the phone down carefully, almost reverently, like it held something sacred. He looked across the room at the other officer on duty. "We arrested the wrong man," he said quietly. A beat of silence passed between them. No denial, no excuse. The weight of it sank in. Down the hallway, Derrick still sat in the holding cell, unaware that the ground beneath this nightmare was finally starting to shift. He didn't know a kid with a phone had done what the system hadn't. Seen him, heard him, proved him right. But outside that cell, everything had changed, and now the lie had cracked. She never thought the truth would catch up to her. She never thought her lie would have a witness. But when the video played, her story unraveled. And so did her control. Because sometimes the only thing louder than a lie is the justice it awakens. Pamela sat in the interview room again, but this time the air was different. The confident, calculated calm she wore the day before it cracked. Her eyes darted toward the mirror, her fingers nervously tugging at the hem of her blazer. She could feel it. Something had changed. Detective Alvarez entered slowly, carrying a folder and a tablet. He didn't sit right away. He simply stood across the table and stared at her, silent, unreadable. Then, without a word, he tapped the screen and set the tablet in front of her. A video began play. Pamela leaned forward, trying to appear composed, but within seconds, the color drained from her face. The footage was damning, clear, irrefutable. Derrick kneeling down beside the child, speaking gently. No grabbing, no force, just concern. Then her, screaming from across the park before he even moved. She looked up quickly. I didn't realize someone was recording. I thought he was going to... Detective Alvarez finally sat, his voice low but sharp. You thought? Or you decided? You looked at a black man sitting near a crying child, and your first instinct was fear and then accusation. And now, a man sat in a cell overnight because of your instinct. Pamela blinked, stammering. It was just a mistake. I didn't mean... He leaned in, the weight of his stare bearing down on her. You filed an official police report. You escalated a lie into a criminal accusation. That's not a mistake, Ms. Warren. That's a crime. Her mouth opened in protest, but no defense came out. The room was heavy with silence. Then Alvarez stood and opened the door. Two uniformed officers entered. Pamela Warren, you're under arrest for filing a false police report and obstructing an investigation. Pamela jumped up, panicked. Wait, what? You're ruining my life over a misunderstanding. This is insane. You're really going to arrest me because I was scared. The handcuffs clicked. Alvarez didn't flinch. No, we're arresting you because you lied. And a man could have lost everything because of it. As she was let out, her voice echoed down the hallway. Shrill, defiant, desperate. But this time no one listened. The lie she built to protect her ego was collapsing around her. And for the first time, she would have to answer for it. In a nearby corridor, Derrick stood quietly, newly released. He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He just watched, eyes steady, as Pamela passed him in cuffs, the same way he had been not 24 hours earlier. And in that silence, justice finally took its first breath. He got his freedom, but not his dignity. No headlines, no apologies, just silence. And as he walked home through a world that still looked at him like a threat, one truth lingered. Being innocent isn't enough when the world sees you as guilty first. The steel door buzzed open, and Derrick stepped out into the daylight. Not free, just released. No officer shook his hand. No one said, "We're sorry." No press conference. No apology. Just the sound of the door slamming shut behind him, and a cold breeze brushing his face like the world had already moved on. He clutched a brown paper bag with his wallet and phone inside, the same things he had on him when he was wrongfully arrested. Except now, they felt heavier. He walked slowly through the neighborhood he used to call home. Each step brought him past familiar porches, street corners, grocery stores, and stranger stares. People paused in their yards and behind curtains. Their eyes lingered too long. Their expressions said it all. Isn't that the guy? Even though the truth had come out, the lie had already done its work. Derrick was now a story, a distorted one, and no video could fully erase the shadow Pamela had cast over his name. No reporters covered his release. No one cared that a boy had cleared his name. Pamela's lawyer issued no statement. The same media that would have aired his mugshot in prime time had nothing to say now that he was just innocent. By the time Derrick reached the street, the weight of silence was unbearable. But then he saw them, his niece and nephew, no older than 7, running barefoot in the grass, laughing, chasing bubbles in the golden evening light. They ran to him like nothing had changed. To them, he was still Uncle Derrick, the funny one, the safe one. He dropped to one knee, pulled him into his arms, and held him tighter than ever before. He kissed the top of his niece's head and whispered, barely holding back tears, "Be careful out there, okay?" His voice cracked. Even being good won't protect you. They didn't understand what he meant. Not yet, but one day they would. And Derrick? He wasn't broken, but he was changed. Because for black men like him, sometimes the scariest thing isn't being accused. It's knowing that no matter how loud the truth is, it might never be enough. The truth doesn't need permission to be heard. It just needs someone brave enough to speak it. When Derrick hit upload, he didn't know the world was watching. But by morning, his story wasn't just his anymore. It was a movement, a mirror, a spark. 2 weeks had passed since Derrick walked out of that police station, but the wound remained fresh. He hadn't returned to work. He barely answered calls. He spent his days in quiet, moving through life like a shadow in his own skin. But something inside him was shifting.